Hey everybody, hope you had a great Christmas and New Year's is just about here. And so I want to talk about 2026 because a lot of us are looking at it with hope, at least trying to look at it with hope instead of just resignation, right? So I'm 7 months pregnant. I've got 3 kids under 7, and I'm thinking about the world that we're going to hand them. And I saw this post on X just the other day, and so I wanted to read it to you guys. It's from a guy, Dale Stark. He's got a lot of followers. I just saw him, but he says it just connects with me, and I think a lot of people who would be listening to me. He says, on a walk with the family, and you can't stop thinking about what the future will hold for our kids. Do we teach them to work hard, to pay taxes and do the right things just so they can be fleeced by corrupt politicians and third worlders? It's clear that we're reaching a tipping point where difficult decisions will need to be made. And he references the fourth turning, which it pretty much feels like we're in. If you haven't read that, you should probably read it. So I feel very similar about that. You know, it's easy to get stuck in outrage and to be mad about all of the corruption and fraud and on that we keep hearing about and seeing what feels like nothing getting done about it. Everything is so slow. How has it been a year and nobody's been arrested, right? But I don't think 2026 should just be the year of like reading these headlines and reacting in anger online about them. I think it needs to be the year that we take action. And you know, I think a lot of us want to take part, want to do something, and we feel like, what can we do? I've seen a lot of people talk about boycotting taxes. I'm not against that. But this episode, I want to talk about some New Year's resolutions for Patriots that are things that we can do this coming year to make a dent in the problem. Because we're not gonna get off the couch and go like Nick Shirley to and bring a big gang of us to these Somali places and handcuff them. We're not going to go to Tim Walsh's house with pitchforks and force him out and put him in jail. We don't want to start a revolution with guns. I mean, like I said, I'm a mom. This is not my job in changing our country. So I want to go through what things us normal people who aren't ready to take the extreme steps but want to make a difference, what steps we can take. And so, you know, I'm not an activist, I'm not an investigative journalist. That would be really cool, but I'm a mom. And I want a better world for my kids, and I see the direction that it's going, and I don't want it going that direction. And I know that many of you don't either. So instead of bitching and complaining in 2026, let's talk about these resolutions that are real actions that we can take. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, I'm JJ Jeffrey here with Homestead Republic, and today we're going to talk about 2026 Patriot Resolutions, things that we can do to not just complain, not just see the problems and wish we could do something, but actually do the real work, make changes in the way we live our lives so that we can improve this country, hopefully, right? Or get it on the right track, or create a parallel system so that we don't have to depend on the government and corporations that run it. So let's get into it. I mean, it comes down to things like building stronger communities, building parallel systems, using our voices without fear. Charlie Kirk showed us that. Showing up in the political system in our local area and not being afraid of joining in with it. Slowly and intentionally becoming less dependent on the system. The first resolution I want to bring up is personal sovereignty. I've been working on this one for a while, so I don't think this is necessarily one of my resolutions. You can pick and choose, but I think these are good ones for everybody to consider. Are you and your family sovereign individuals? Are you independent, or do you depend on the government and corporations and anything outside of your community to survive? Most of us do. There's everything from food awareness. Can you feed yourself? I mean, that's a huge one. If you can't, maybe you should start a garden this year. Maybe you should get some chickens this year. Maybe you should join a CSA this year. Find some way that you can get local food if the grocery stores were to shut down. This is one direction of independence that you can create with your family. If you depend on food stamps, work on that. You don't want to be dependent on the system. Next is financial literacy. I mean, a lot of us can't be financially perfectly sound, right? We need our jobs. But from my experience, starting our own business, my husband and I, has made us less dependent on somebody else for an income. And that's a really big step to take. And I'm not saying it's for everybody, but if it's something you've ever dreamed of, maybe this is the year you start working towards that. Doesn't mean you have to quit your job, but you should start putting your spare time into creating something better for yourself and your family. Number 3, health autonomy, right? So if you are unhealthy, if you're sick, if you have to visit the doctor all the time, if you need to go to the hospital all the time, take control of your health. I mean, this is a New Year's resolution that everybody has through time, right? I mean, it's a cliche. But seriously, if you are dependent on the healthcare system and all of a sudden it's not there for you, what are you going to do? How are you going to survive? How are you going to get medications that you are addicted to and need? Start thinking about these dependency situations that you have. Do you depend on corporations for goods and services? I hope not. But if you do, start figuring out ways that you can escape that. Get healthy. Another one is tech awareness. I mean, when I think of that, it comes down to not just the things we own and buy and the corporations we support, like Amazon, but what happens if the power goes out? Are you ready for that? Can you keep your family warm? Do you depend on utilities? Do you depend on water from some centralized location? Do you depend on just one internet source? These are all things that you need to start thinking about and become less dependent on the system. I'm not saying you need to be a prepper, but that's the direction you should start thinking. So that's resolution number one. My family's been working on it for a while, and nobody's ever going to be perfect about it. But if you haven't even started, start thinking about it, because your dependency on the system gives the system power. And that's kind of one of the things we're trying to work on in 2026 is taking power away from the system. Okay, resolution number 2. Build stronger community. Now, I am working on this year. I really want to build stronger community. My problem, one of my problems, is that we plan to move to an area that we know literally nobody. And so we're going to have to put in a lot of effort to meet new people, to find local shops and local communities, and get to know our neighbors even. So if you don't know your neighbors, that's a good first step. Get to know them. Maybe they're not your style. If they're not, find neighbors who are. You'll always find somebody. You just might have to search a little bit. Offline relationships. I mean, I feel like I know a lot of people online. No. But when it comes down to it, maybe meet some of those people in person. I don't know. It's scary. It's scary to get to know new people. All the friends I had when I was younger I don't know what they're doing, but I'm not friends with them anymore. I don't ever see them. I don't speak to them. And once I had kids, I lost a lot of friends. And so I don't have many friends who have children also. And my kids, since I homeschool, that makes me feel even more disassociated from other people. So that's why it's my goal to find community. And whether it's joining homesteading groups or local businesses, getting to know them and having them know you, the local grocery store or market, or even the farmers market, getting to know people that you see regularly. I saw a post the other day about going and throwing parties regularly and inviting people that you don't really know, or parents of other kids that your kids meet at the park or whatever. And that sounds fun and terrifying. But I think that might be something that we need to all start doing, is start inviting people over and getting to know people in our community. Because in order to become more independent from the greater, American system, the government and corporations and whatnot, we need to get to know our local community. It's a big deal. So that's resolution number 2. Resolution number 3. Resolution number 3 is building parallel systems. And that in its verbiage sounds pretty scary. Like, what am I supposed to do to make a parallel system? Here's some ideas, right? Homeschool networks. Stop using the school system and start meeting community and raising your own children and teaching them the values and beliefs that you have. Don't let the political system teach your kids what, we all hear about in school. If you can't, I'm not saying all of these steps are for you. I'm saying that these are ideas that you can pick and choose from, right? Another one, local trade and skills. Maybe your neighbor is a really good welder and you don't know how to weld, but you raise chickens. Maybe you can give him some chicken and some eggs, and he can do some welding for you. I mean, you'd have to give him a lot of chickens and eggs, but maybe not. Maybe you got a good relationship. Either way, finding people that have skills that you might not have, or who produce local milk, local meat, and maybe you have a skill. Figure out these trades and who you might be able to talk to. I mean, it's another piece of community, but it's a parallel system. There's also supporting independent media. I mean, being on X is a parallel system to mainstream media. Listening to different sources of news is a parallel system, supporting different ideas. There's also the community food resilience. I'm talking about, knowing your local farmers, your local meat producers, your local CSAs, not just at the farmers market, but in person, going to their farms and picking up food that you need. We are part of a local dairy share, and we get raw milk locally, and we drive to their farm regularly, and we know the farmer there. So if something were to happen, that's a parallel system. If the grocery stores close, or there's a boycott of this or that, I know I can get my milk still. Parallel systems is a big deal, and we should be forming them, and that can be everything from the things I mentioned, to maybe you have a small business that does this or that you can provide something to your community that they can't, that there's no other options. Maybe you build like toys or something like that, and nobody else in the community builds toys. I'm talking about taking away our dependency on globalism and building parallel systems that are local, right? These are little steps that you can do. You don't have to do every single one of them, but if we start building these communities and building these systems, that's something that we can do in the next year that are going to weaken our dependency and their power. Because at some point we have to start ignoring what they want us to be doing. We can't listen to them forever, our masters, right? I mean, corporations in general own our political system. Number 4, use your voice. Shine light on issues. That's a big one that I've talked about Charlie a lot, but I mean, that's the reason I'm here talking instead of just shutting up. I want to get my voice out there just because I think there needs to be more voices. And that comes down to, putting your personal voice out there, joining in with a collective voice, a collective of people who believe the same thing, and also amplifying other people's voices. So if you see something like Nick Shirley's videos online, share it. We want as many people to see these things as we can. And even if it's somebody, smaller, that isn't some news that isn't being shared, share it. Maybe you only have 600 followers like me, and your spread's not going to be very big. Just try. That's what I'm doing. I mean, nobody watches my videos, and it doesn't matter. I'm putting my voice out there because at some point it could. And that's kind of the point of this resolution number 4, is just put your voice out there, even if you don't think anybody's going to hear it. The more voices that do that, the more the feeling gets put out there. The collective conscious gets filled with it. Maybe that's dumb, but I don't think it is. I think that it's a real thing. It's a real phenomenon. So refuse to self-censor yourself. Tell people what you think. Don't hold back. If you say something dumb, oh well. It happens. But put yourself out there. And you don't have to do it in person. We're lucky enough to have the internet to share our ideas. And then if you happen to find community, you can speak to them about it. And that's a great way forward, and you'll find like-minded people. So I think that resolution number 4, I think all of us can take a step in that direction. Maybe there's a post that you want to say something on, but you think maybe you shouldn't say something. It doesn't hurt. I've noticed a lot less liberals have been trying to argue with me online. I don't know if that's like some sort of algorithm thing or what, but I just don't see them anymore. I see a lot of good people, and I talk to a lot of good people online now. I just need to start doing that in person, right? All right, number 5. Resolution number 5 is, this one's can be quite annoying, but I really think that we need to do it. We need to engage politically without becoming overwhelmed by it, right? And I'm not just talking about voting for president. I'm talking about voting for local things. I mean, I've said before, in Colorado, this last election cycle, I attempted to run for city council, and I was sickened to find out that only 35% of the population voted in local elections. Come on. They mean a lot. And I never used to think so, but with the amount of fraud in our election system, we really have to step it up to make our voices heard. Otherwise, if we just sit at home and think it doesn't matter, then we get what we get. And I don't want to get what we get. I want to change our local systems. I don't want more giant condos getting built in my backyard. I don't want more traffic and more projects that are being built poorly because nobody cares. The concrete in front of my house, they just put in a new sidewalk, and it was this big deal. It took like years and years for them to finally approve this widened sidewalk in front of my house. And it got put in about a year ago, and today they were drilling samples from the sidewalk because whoever they chose to put in the sidewalk did such a bad job that they're questioning the integrity of the concrete, and they think that they're going to need to redo the whole thing. I don't want the city to spend our tax dollars on a new sidewalk. How did they screw that up? I mean, it's just one thing after another thing after another thing, right? I mean, that's a little thing that only affects very few people, but it affects me. And so it affects the city. It affects all of us taxpayers. It's just another layer of incompetence that all of us are seeing. While I never voted before, I always voted in local elections. I didn't vote for president because I didn't think it really mattered. But I really think that not only should we vote, but we should, for this 5th resolution, engaging politically, we should go to school board meetings, town halls. We should not blindly trust the city governments that are controlling our towns. I mean, we can see that in Minnesota, and how, if you don't pay attention, they're going to swindle from you right underneath of you, and you don't even know. We need to start participating in what's going around in our local elections. So that's something that I started last year, and I want to continue with, and maybe more of you will be interested in making that resolution for 2026. So on top of that, so those are the 5 resolutions. We'll go through them again. They're personal sovereignty, taking control of your independence and not being dependent on the system. Number 2, building a stronger community, getting to know the people around you. Number 3, building parallel systems, again, so that we as a community are not dependent on corporations and the government to provide for us, because it gives them power, right? Number 4, using our voice, shining light on fraud and problems that we see in our communities and our world around us. And number 5, engaging politically on the local level and on the state level. We need to start going to those school board meetings, right? More of us need to participate. That's how the system works. It's how we, grease the wheels and get everything working better. Now, another point that I wanted to point out, other than these resolutions, is that we really, as patriots, as the right, as America First, as whatever you want to call it, we need to heal our divides. Like, seriously. This whole Candace turning point thing, come on. I haven't really paid attention because I don't really care, but the people who do care and are paying attention to that, can we just save that for later? I know it really matters what happened to Charlie, but do you truly think that we're ever going to know the truth? We're not. I don't care how much you dig into it and watch the videos over and say this guy is conspiring against this guy, and we're not going to know the answer, okay? But we are on the same team in many ways, and we need to just kind of put that in the background for now and argue about it after we beat the leftist, communist, socialist, blue hair, rainbow everything people, because that's a bigger deal right now. So drop this. And then there's the other divide on our side. Really wish that we could stop talking about the Zionists versus the America Firsts. I mean, I'm on the America First side. I don't think that we should be sending a bunch of money to another country, even if it is Israel, because I don't know if they're nefarious or not. But that doesn't mean I don't like Jewish people, and that the Jewish people that live in this country aren't my friends and aren't totally on my side with a lot of things. I just, it's doesn't really, does it really matter that much? Does it really make you not want to be part of this movement to fix America because you care more about sending money over to Israel than you do kicking the Muslim invaders out of our country? I mean, come on. So that's another point I just really need to make, is like, let's blur the lines of our mission. Those are like lines that can be blurred. As allies, we don't have to agree on everything. Let's drop those for right now. We can recognize that they're there, but like, gosh, can we just let go of those so that we can focus on the main actual goal and come together to fix the serious problems that are ahead of us? I really hope that we can. So that's another thing that I think we all need to work on for 2026, is just stop with creating fractures in our allyship, right? I mean, we all want what's best for America, and if Charlie was here, I'd love to hear what he would have said. I know that he was pro-Israel, but maybe at the end he was saying some things that weren't because he was more America First. I don't know. Who knows? Again, we'll never really know. But we do need to come together. We need to start taking things seriously, and we need to look at those resolutions again and decide what things that you can do in your everyday life that are going to make a difference for all of us. Because we can sit back and we can complain and argue and say, fire Pam Bondi and put Waltz in jail, and Ilhan Omar needs to be deported, and we can say all these things, but we aren't personally going to do these things. We need to depend on the people we voted for to do them. And I can't say that I really believe that they're going to, but what can we do in our lives? That's what it comes down to. We need to do things in our own lives that are going to make a difference. And so those resolutions, those are what I thought up of. Maybe you guys have some other ideas that you can add to that list. Because I want to be builders. I don't want us to be just reacting to the things that are going on. I want us to have a renewal without having a full-blown revolution, because I have kids and I don't want that. And I know the fourth turning is here, but maybe we can do something different this time because we recognize it. I don't know. I just want a better future for my kids. I know I want a better future for your kids. I know you want a better future for all of us too. And so let's work on it instead of just complain about it. I hate complaining. I do it all the time. But I also want to find solutions. And so this is my post. This is my plea to you to make steps towards actually doing something together as a group. And if that means not paying taxes, I'm on your boat. I'll do that with you. But, I've got 650 followers and I'm not a big account. So I can't really help that much, but I'm trying. I'm here. I'm putting my voice out. And this is my invitation for you to join in on these everyday things that can make a difference for making us stronger and more independent from all of this. So that's my rant for the day, everybody. Keep your hearts brave, because you're going to need it, and keep your homes bright, because happiness in your homes is really going to keep it all moving forward. Peace.